No worries. Good morning. You are waiting for a prelude, but I am your prelude. Because we have a special service this morning that we've organized differently than usual. I'm watching all the people, including my husband, like deer in the headlights. I'm not where I wanted to be to sit for this service. So go ahead and find your seats, but because we have a lot to do this morning, I'm going to just keep talking while you're finding your way. So, good morning and welcome to the First Unitarian Church in Providence, where we love beyond belief. Can I get a good morning back? It's so good to see you. I will, I think, never take for granted again how marvelous it is to have us all together in this space. It's really so precious. I have an invocation this morning to share with you, and then I have an explanation of everything that sets our service apart this morning. And folks who are, if there's anybody who's new and joining us this morning for the first time, you are totally welcome to be here, and you're totally welcome to participate in this service of congregational discernment. We want to hear from everybody. So our invocation is one of my favorite pieces, Prayer for Those Gathered in Worship by Unitarian Universalist minister Barbara Peskin. In this familiar place, listen. Listen to the sounds of breathing, creaking pews, shuffling feet, clearing throats, and sighing all around. Know that each breath, movement, the glance meant for you or intercepted holds a life within it. These are signs that we choose to be in this company, have things to say to each other. Things not yet said, but in each other's presence, still trembling behind our heart's doors. These doors closed, but unlocked. Each silent thing waiting on the threshold between unknowing and knowing, between being hidden and being known. Find the silence among these people and listen to it all, breathing, sighs, movement, holding back. Hear the tears that have not yet reached the eyes. Perhaps they are your own. Hear also the laughter building deep where joy abides, despite everything. Listen, rejoice. And for all of it, may we say together, Amen. We have a very quick moment to wave to each other, and then we'll have our chalice lighting. Hello, people. Take a moment to not just listen to each other breathing, and let's wave to the camera. There's people at home who are going to be joining us via Zoom later in the service. Hi, everybody. And can we join in the words of our chalice lighting, and then I'll offer, I'm messing with the order of service a little bit, then I'll offer the introduction to the service. But right now, let's say these words together. They're printed in your order of service. This light burns also in our hearts, and it lights our way towards harmony, justice, and hope for all. So, this is a very special service. We are making our way through this challenging time. We have been doing it with strength and intention, and we want to make sure that our church year ahead is as safe, supportive, fulfilling, and sustainable as possible. for all of us, for all our congregants, for our leadership, for the staff, for the ministers. To help this happen, your leadership has realized we need to have a conversation together and hear each other's responses to 2 questions. And the 2 questions are in your order of service. The first one, what is first you doing that is helping or important for you and or your family? We have been doing this, getting through pivot, pivot, pivot for a year and a half. And as circumstances change, so does what we are doing. We need to know what we're doing that is most helpful or important for you personally and or for your family. As we move through this year and things are changing and unpredictable, this will help us keep what matters most to our people as strong and constant as possible. Does that make sense? So it's asking each of you personally, not hypothetically, personally, experientially, what is first you doing now that is most helpful or important to you, yourself? The second question, what else is possible? And let me be clear, it's about what else is possible safely now, which doesn't mean congregational singing. We're all longing to do it and to hear the choir, but we can't quite do that yet. And we can't have all our kids in regular classrooms and classes in the usual spaces until they're vaccinated. So there's some stuff that we're longing to do we can't do, but that doesn't mean that there's not other stuff we could do now safely that's possible. We may not have thought about it. So if there are other things safe that would be meaningful to you and your family that we have not thought of, please share the second question. What are other possible options that would be helpful and important for you and or your family? Ideally now, even though our options are limited. Because when we put all our heads together, we're kind of crowdsourcing, right? We're inevitably going to get ideas that we didn't already have ourselves. I want to make sure also that everybody knows you each need your own order of service for this Sunday. So if you don't all have your own order of service, in other words, we're not asking couples to share and save paper, you need your own today. So if you don't, each of you have your own order of service, you can still run up to one of the entryways and grab one. And there's also somebody actually at the back of the aisle. Do you want to just walk down and see if anybody raises their hand to get an extra order of service, make it easy on people? So are the questions clear? Does this make sense? I need like nods or mm-hms. Okay, so this is making sense to you so far. So feel free to start thinking about your answers now, but not too much, because I need you to listen to the plan for this morning so that when the time comes, you will know what to do. So hold part of your brain free to hear what I'm saying next. You're gonna break into small groups based on a number that is on the front corner of your order of service on the right in red. Mine says number 2. Can everybody find your number? It's on the right front corner at the very top of your order of service. Does everybody see it? Can you say your number out loud, please? Awesome. Okay. You're going to break into small groups by the number on the front corner of your order of service. You will find your group. Where's the list? Oh yeah, the list is on the insert where you're going to go. If you're not sure where your space is, ask one of the ushers and they will help you find it. Ushers, you've got to go to your rooms last so that you're here to help anybody who's not sure where their room is. We're meeting in here and we're meeting across the breezeway in the parish house in designated spaces that have already been assigned, okay? Mine says 2, which means I'm meeting. Can anybody tell me where I'm meeting? Yes, in the corner near the name tag board, which is over there. That's where I've got to go when the time comes. And it says facing the pulpit, back left, meaning if you were standing facing the pulpit, it's in the back of the room on the left. It's always confusing about what's the front, what's the back, what's the north, so we're trying to orient people with descriptors that are as clear as possible, okay? You break into small groups by the number. You find your group. If mobility is a challenge for you and your group is meeting in the other building or up a flight of stairs or something, please feel free to just join the group nearest to you. They should be more or less equal in size, but if one group has a couple more people, that's okay. We're giving you 5 minutes in this service to settle into your group, to go find it and settle in. If you don't need the 5 minutes, just get started talking. But that way, if you've got a little bit of a ways to move to, you've got time to do it. Each group needs to nominate someone in the group to be a reporter who is going to summarize the group's conversation and results at the end. That's something you do in your group, right? You'll be like, who's going to be the reporter? Somebody will hopefully offer. If nobody offers, somebody will have to be like, Tony, would you be willing to be the reporter in your group? And hopefully Tony will say yes, and it goes like that, okay? But it's a group thing, and it shouldn't take long. What we want you to do is, in that group, take 1 to 2 minutes, no longer, each person. Because if you take more time than that, you are taking someone else's time. There's only 30 minutes for the groups to have the conversations. And the groups are big enough that there may not be time for everybody if you take more than your time. 1 to 2 minutes to share your answers with the rest of the group. 30 minutes total for the conversation. If you want to, feel free to write your answers on the order of service. There's a whole lined page on your insert if you want to, and you can hand those to an usher at the end of the service if you want to make sure the Prudential Committee gets your input directly. Who is the Prudential Committee? The Prudential Committee is the governing board of members of this congregation. They are the executive group elected by this congregation to represent our people in leadership decisions and discernment. Where is the PRUCOM? Does anybody know? They're over here. Hello, PRUCOM members. Would you like to stand up so everybody can clearly see you? Your PRUCOM is all here. They have been working themselves so hard. Some folks in this group, where's Michael? Michael, stand up. You have to be acknowledged. Our past president, Michael Capelli, who's also our tech lead, who's also on the PRUCOM. They have all been working so hard to carry this church through the last couple years. So the PRUCOM is going to get the results from this and deliberate on this. Today, we've got a day-long retreat after worship is over to work on this stuff. So they are here, they are participating in the service, they'll be in the groups, and then they also will be getting the input from you. What's going to happen is whoever the reporter is needs to take some notes. Again, there's the room on your order of service. Especially reporters, please pay attention to whether there's overlap, whether it begins to seem like a few people have some of the same priorities that they're naming, either as things that are working well for people right now or ideas that they have for what more we could safely do. Again, this is for you. You need to be invested in the things we safely do. I guess I forgot to say that. We're not asking for you to come up with ideas that might serve somebody else that somebody else might do. We're looking for stuff that would make a difference to you, enough of a difference that you might want to help make it happen, though we're not asking for you to volunteer. But this is about you, not about hypotheticals. Does that make sense? We're really trying to drill down. Okay, so reporters, you need to take notes. Please notice especially if there's overlap around the answers. Check with the group if you're not sure if something is related, but you think maybe so, and get the group's wisdom on this. People who are online, hello again. You guys are another small group this morning. When we break into the small groups here throughout our spaces, that's when you should click on the link that was sent out in Friday's email to join a special Zoom session that is happening simultaneously. How cool is this? Simultaneously with all the groups that we're doing in person here at the church. You guys are Zooming in from wherever you are on a trip or at home to have the same conversation. Your moderator will be someone who is present here this morning who is going to start that service, note your conversation, and be the reporter to return here to this space live and report out to all of us from your Zoom conversation. So it's not too soon to go check in that Friday email for the link, not to the coffee hour afterwards, but to the special Zoom meeting happening during the service. Is this making sense so far? Okay. Then you've got 5 minutes at the end of your 30 to return here and settle here, just as you're seated now. You won't need to be in your groups anymore. If you were in groups in here, you'll return to where you're seated now. Then we have 30 minutes for reporting out. That is 1 to 2 minutes per group again. So that's another moment that needs to be very time efficient. We will hear all the results of the group conversations. PruCom is able to take notes if they need to. We are going to use your input to shape plans for this church year. This afternoon is when we start, when we go into retreat right after the service. Once we've gotten the report outs and heard each other's thoughts, what we've been appreciating and what else might help, then we are going to return to our elements to close out our worship service in our usual way. So we've cut down on the service severely to give plenty of time for conversation. Service is likely to run a little long, but that's because of everything everybody's going to be saying, everything you will be saying together and in your groups. So that's how that looks. I don't really want to ask for questions because we need to get moving, but if anybody has a burning question, something you can't get answered by an usher later on, then ask me now, because maybe somebody else does. Yeah, David? The PruCom is gonna take it all in because they need to figure out what our arc is gonna look like for the year. And they don't want to just be imagining and hoping that the things they think and feel represent what everybody else thinks and feels. They really want to hear from you so that they are planning out a year that's really focused on the things that matter. We don't want to be trying to drum up stuff that isn't actually relevant for people, and we don't want to lose anything that really matters to people. So this is to give the PruCom the information that we need to chart a course for the next church year. Not long term. This is for this year, okay? Thank you for asking. All right. Well then, that is our plan, and we're gonna return to the regular service now. We have such a wonderful song by our own Janice Akumian, who is singing with a microphone from the parking lot, our new choir loft, as you will remember from a couple weeks ago. So, now we have our music.
To that rock
This is our time to share joys and sorrows moving through our congregation, those at home, those here. I have the joys and sorrows you shared by writing in the book and lighting a candle in the other side of the meeting house before the service, and also those sent in. We have a candle of joy for the celebration of the life and art of Irene Allen yesterday afternoon in our meeting house, followed by a walk through her art in the Parish House Atrium Gallery, and another candle of joy for Irene Allen's life, shared so beautifully yesterday. Thank you, Janice. We have a candle of concern for Jim Esty, who fell last night. He is shaken. He's home, but needing to heal, and visitors are welcome. We have a candle of wellness and hope for Kelly Smith as she continues to navigate her health challenges. We have a couple more candles, but I want to take first time to toll our bell. It is our practice to toll our bell for occasions of great rejoicing and also for occasions of great sorrow, and to mark also the epidemic of gun violence in our country. So we are tolling our bell for a minute today in sorrow for the school shooting at Timberview High School in Arlington, Texas earlier this week, where a student confrontation led to 3 youth being shot and 1 teacher being injured. Can we hold that moment and those people in our hearts and souls now in our silence? Our final candle was lit in memory of Stanley Robert Grossman Graham, Mr. New York, in the month of his birth. He was a generous friend. We have now a moment of silence for personal reflection and prayer. And of course, during that time of silence, if you have lost someone close to you in the past year, we invite you to stand or raise your hand in silent witness of that loss. And we'll close with our chime. Okay, we're moving into our small group conversations. This is, if you haven't already checked to figure out where you're going to, this is the moment you should do that. We need you to stay masked for these conversations, so please try to speak as carefully and clearly as possible. Head out now to wherever your group is supposed to be. Each of you needs to follow the number on your order of service, which may mean that couples or family groups are going to different places. That's fine. You'll represent your values and your thoughts in different places, which is great. Let me just say it's 10:55, so there's 40 minutes right now to find your place, have your conversation, and come back here in 40 minutes from now, 10:55, okay? I'm not going to find you, you just got to come back. See you soon. Go over there. It's probably better. It's a little difficult to tear ourselves away. Well, at least it was for me. I love hearing all the ideas and energy people are bringing. We have some other groups that I think are still going to be rolling in because I see that not everybody's back in their seats, but we need to keep going. So we're just going to have to bring those groups into the mix as we move. So do we have, and I need to turn on this mic, do we have group 1 in the house yet? Group 1? Are you the reporter? All right, so I was saying to these guys, I'm going to be like the Phil Donahue, for those of us who remember Phil Donahue. He used to run around with a mic so that people from the audience could say stuff. So what we're doing is I'm going to run around with this mic and ask the reporters from each group to report out with a high-level summary. You have 1 to 2 minutes only, and it's not like I've got a big hook. So you're self-monitoring yourself, please, for 1 to 2 minutes so we can end the service in a timely way. So I'm going to run this around in order of group, and if we miss a group, we'll have to circle back to them. I know group 2 is here because I was in group 2. So group 1. Okay. And can you say your name?
Sure. My name is Emily Connor, reporter for Group 1. We had a lot of ideas, and I won't read all those because that'll make me go over the time, but we'll get them to the pre-com. But what I will read are the things that came up in the group that are important. And they're not in order of priority, just in the order that they bubbled up in conversation. It's important to have religious education programs for the youth. It's important to be here in the meeting house. It's important to keep having music. Everything so far has been great, but definitely keep going. It's important to preserve the community and to enhance it. This came up a couple of times, to really embrace the church community, both online and in person. Both of those are important. And again, very important for the adults to meet in person. And those are the important things. And then we had a lot of ideas of things that the church could do again or continue to do. But I think what really bubbled up was just preserving the community, having ways for us to connect, taking advantage of the things that we figured out worked online, but really trying to have the in-person things everywhere that we can. So that's our high-level summary.
Thank you. Do we have, I'm afraid we're going to forget the Zoom group because they're not a number. So do we have the Zoom reporter here yet? Okay, they're still going. All right, then I need 2, and I know that's you, Dana.
Hi, everybody. Put me on a
Introduce yourself.
microphone. We started by talking about what's working, and there was just a lot of gratitude in our group in general for how much work the team here has put into making everything work for us. People loved unanimously being back in person together and appreciated all the things like the tech upgrades and the outreach packets last year that were sent out to families, and just in the pastoral care, just seeing how much the team here has leaned in on everything like that. There was a lot of gratitude towards those pieces. Our group spent a lot of time talking about mobilizing our congregants and really thinking about how the congregation, we have so much talent internally, and if there are all these great ideas and creative solutioning for long-term supports, that they can put up a wish wall or reach out to people and say, we need your help. And they don't have to shoulder the burden of every single thing that needs to get done in order for us to do this work well, especially as COVID potentially is around for a long time in different forms. We did also talk about potentially holding some sort of community forum with our medical advisors and others to better understand how decision making is happening, so that people have a better sense and can really buy into the way that the way that things are going right now for the team. And there was also talk about diversifying the leadership voices in general to make sure that they are inclusive of the many different types of families and ages and people that come here each week and care so deeply about this place. So, and lots of other notes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dana. Okay, do we have the Zoom reporter here yet? Okay, then group 3. Is group 3 here yet? Okay, awesome. And make sure to introduce yourselves.
My name is Deborah Rose, and I'm a visitor, 4 Sundays consecutive visitor. And I was taking notes for the group, but as a retired minister myself. A lot of positives. It's about communication, and ranging from personal and family photographs being taken, like on location at homes, and that was considered very friendly and helped those families feel connected. The coming of age program, I gather that's for the teenagers. They liked care packages and mail and postcards. Again, that connective factor was big plus. Everybody loved the live music outside of the windows. And the deacons sending postcards, again, keeping in communication during difficult times. The virtual church, Zoom, small groups, virtual tea parties, tea gatherings. A number of people liked the virtual experience. Not that it was preferable to in person, but it seemed to be a positive thing. And the chalice groups for spiritual development and a positive suggestion was related to Sunday mornings, I think especially once it opens up more, to have, well, just, I guess, more of the same that you liked so well virtually, but to have more connectiveness. And I would add, this is for myself, some social experiences that are, well, in one church that I served, it was called fundraising. And it was an auction that we had, and people offered their services as one thing or another. I could elaborate on that, but I won't for now. And positive experience of the membership committee and person who is in charge of that, that they're doing a good job. And I experienced that too. Friendliness, yes.
Thank you very much. Is the Zoom reporter here yet? Okay, then group 4.
My name is Bill Twaddell, and there was very general approval of what the church has been doing during this period of COVID. That relates to what they have done to stay in touch with all of the members, as well as to be an important contributor to the community as COVID came into prominence with our testing and vaccination and the relationship we have with our church up on Rochambeau. There were specific references to the OWL program and the religious education program for continuing. That is a very important element for our kids. There was a feeling that when we opened, that it was done very carefully, and it was very, the protocols that were set in place were appropriate and were being observed appropriately. The small group outreach was a significant factor, particularly to one member who was part of a new book group, and that was a meaningful way of staying in touch, as well as the leaderships and the deacons, others, outreach through the cards and packets that were sent. Kudos for our new organist, as we have gotten back in person. That's such a significant, music being such a significant part of our regular service. And the general feeling of how great it is to be back in the church. Aspirationally, a lot about the RE program. A feeling that when and if we get those vaccinations for 5 through 12-year-olds, this is going to be a significant outreach and possibility that will be importantly reflected by the messaging and the information we get from our bridging doctors as well as communicators. That also, keeping on in the religious education department, it was felt that this is getting a little specific, but the 7th graders are still restricted, although they are in many ways moving up into early teenagerhood or done, and it would be important to somehow get them into in-person possibilities as well. A lot, as I said, about the religious education program being so important and being a main focus. Also, in that category of the next steps, music, if we do get lower community positivity, if we do get more vaccinations, however we can expand into the music program would be beneficial. One member who takes advantage of our hearing apparatus says that even on Zoom it's very difficult, and even in person there are not enough of those apparatuses to cover the need. That is a specific need, but it is a congregational need as well. And that's it for...
Thank you. We're not doing questions, David. We're just doing report outs. Are you a reporter? We're not having everybody take their mask off. We're only having a few people who have to do worship leadership. I'm sorry. I know that it does make it harder to hear people, but we can also speak louder and try to enunciate carefully when we're reporters. Thank you. And I think I'm going to ask for everybody who's got, most of you wrote down notes. We weren't sure that would happen, so I'm going to ask everybody who is a reporter to just leave your reports here on the piano, and we'll, and that's how we'll gather them, rather than have them go to different ushers that you may pass. Is that okay? All right, that was group 4. Group 5. Good to see you, Aida.
Good morning, and we're group 5. We had 5 members in our group, and to reflect to question number 1. Reflecting on question number 1, what is first you doing that is helping or is important for you and or your family? A lot of the members in my group indicated that the first you is doing wonderfully and they feel supported, and very little things that might be taken granted for other people, like coming home from emergency room, having help, having someone drive you from emergency room to your house and bring your car home, things like that that are done by this church to individual members have been greatly appreciated. And we had some members who are going through a very vigorous treatment, and she expressed that the church has been doing wonderful they even ask more than enough times if they need help. So that has been really good. And there were some members in our group who've been coming to this church from 80s, 90s, and they expressed how amazing it is to be part of the community, and they want to see the energy back, and they are retired now, they can contribute more, and they want to be participating more. And one of the group members indicated that they appreciate the community that they have here, and also they are grateful for the opportunity for giving back. He's participating in the food pantry, and that has been working really well, and he was grateful for that opportunity. And chalice circles and the small groups in general have been very helpful for some of the group members. One of the things that was concerned, the time commitment, that if your chalice circle is meeting weekly, or if your small group is meeting weekly, that 2 hours a week might be a concern. But they were all appreciative to have an opportunity to engage and be a part of that. And many wonderful, heartfelt gratitude for the support that each person is receiving from the community. To reflect on the question number 2, what else is possible at First U that would be helpful and important for you and or your family? A lot of people indicated that music is very, very important for them, and they want to be able to feel the music, be part of the music, and just see how the music will evolve at First U. And one member expressed a concern for the church's financial well-being and want to encourage all members of the congregation to look into opportunities of any ways of knowing how the church is doing, how to contribute, how to give, and how to promote some interest to increase your giving. And he wasn't a part of PRUCOM, or he was just one of the members that was really concerned about all the problems that the church had to go through by our absence here at the church. And one person expressed how important it is to engage our adolescents, and how the religious education is going, and just continuing to engage our children in the church engagements. And I think that's about it. I'm sorry if I forgot something. It was a wonderful group.
I'm so glad. I have to actually ask all our reporters to try to forget something, because we won't have time to do everything if we get what every person said about everything. So I need everybody to maybe just share a couple of things that there seemed to be a lot of consensus, or maybe people joining in on something somebody said, and we'll get your notes to get the details afterwards. I just want to make sure people don't start leaving because we're running long, and I know we are. So if you can give us just a couple of things that are working well, that people seem to sort of coalesce around, that's important for people, and then a couple of things that we could also safely do now that people would like us to think about doing. Is our Zoom reporter here yet? From our Zoom group? Okay. Yes, okay, great. So again, a couple of high-level things in both areas.
Know what has been already shared, and I think for the purpose of time, any suggestions or stuff that we are pleased with, I would not like to repeat if it's already been said, but what we heard. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay, sorry about that. So what we heard, and I also have to kind of look at my note, is a lot of people being very, very happy with all of everything having to do with how we pivoted online and offered all kinds of ways and opportunities to be online when we needed it. Don't know if it's been mentioned before. Sorry, I keep going away with my mic. So what we also heard is coffee hour on Zoom is great, is better than it's ever been. One thing we heard, going into breakout rooms is an opportunity to really meet people in a very deeper way than it's ever been possible for me in person. As far as question 2, we heard about maybe we needed to have more communication about the ongoing business of what it is that we're doing, whether it's social justice, whether it's where is the mission statement, and such, and without burdening Nancy, who's writing the first 2 times and who has a lot to do. So maybe involving more volunteers. Other suggestions that I'm missing, Kate?
My breakout really appreciated afternoon tea. She had the coffee hour and I had the afternoon tea group. Because this was Zoom, everybody was very appreciative of the hybrid model and the Zoom stuff. A lot of appreciation for how hard the church worked to really pivot. And a lot of expression of wanting some fun stuff to do, maybe in small groups, like outdoor, go tour the State House or do a film discussion group. Some things that are a little more lighthearted but could still have a sort of deeper connection for people. Also expression about losing touch with intergenerational, with families, and as Odile said, the communication with PruCom and everything was a theme too, so.
Yeah, one more thing that may make sense was to try to have the timing of the coffee hour on Zoom, because it is the only coffee hour that we have, a little later, so people who are in person and feel like actually seeing other people on Zoom for coffee hour can do both.
Thank you. What are we at, group 6? Okay, while I'm walking on my way to 6, I will say, according to our administrator, we can tell when you open up your email, and less than half of our members actually open the emails we send twice a week. So communication is a two-way street. I totally hear that we need to be working on communicating things out to our membership, but more than half of our members don't open the emails we send. And then sometimes they're like, I didn't hear anything about this. So some of the stuff may be things that you also can help us on your end with receiving communication.
Thank you. I'm Tiffany Hogan, and I'm going to be very brief. We heard everything in our group that has been reported out so far. Gratitude for how great the church has been through the pandemic and the leadership. A real appreciation for small groups, virtual, and then the ones that have continued in person. That's been fantastic. It's been great being back in person. A couple of new things that came up for the future is there a way to get protests and walks and outside activity back? That has been fun for some folks. We had a bit of a discussion on how do we make the church stronger, and does that include diversity, and how do we continue to try and build the financial aspect of the church, and then finally, thinking about in the future using concerts to raise money. The rest of it's in the notes.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, I can just take them as I'm coming through now. Your group 6? 7. Sorry, I'm losing track.
I'm Janice, group 7, and I'll make this also pretty brief because a lot of what's been said is what we said too. One of the things that was very poignant in our discussions was how precious the Zoom coffee hours became, in not just helping us meet other people, but in making really deep connections, sometimes with people that we don't know well. And one of the things that we wondered about what the church could do is to try to find a way to bring some of that into the live context. There was general acclaim for Jeff. And and we're so glad to have him. And a lot of looking forward to ways that we can diversify the music program, but also bring people and their bodies into it, moving, clapping, drumming, stomping, singing, whatever it is. Thirdly, the way that the church pivoted during the pandemic, so that programs that needed to adapt to requirements connected with the virus were put in place very quickly. That's a really good sort of testament to the church following its principles of being safe, inclusive, loving. There was also in suggestions for what to do, the maintenance to our physical plant, various parts of it. The organ needs maintenance. The pulpit, some of the doors, the electrical systems need evaluation. And lastly, can we figure out how to get the kids back into the classroom in the future?
Great. Thank you. Okay. You guys are just counting down for me.
Well, we had a wonderful group, 13 people, half of whom were incredibly well active, very active in the church, and even teenager and youth group from Brown. And they love what the church has done to center us and give us some focus, and the word was centering during the pandemic. But boy, did we have some good ideas. We need a leadership way. We need a way to remember how to be bigger than ourselves, and that's church work. We need ways to give service. We talked about quite a while how the only way out of the hurt of the last 6 or so years is to help one another, to help other people. And by that way, by helping others, we can help ourselves. We all felt very wounded. We would like to see a church where more people are active and more lay leadership of important things and less busy work by the staff. We all appreciated the staff and what they're doing, but we've always been a lay-led church, and there's a lot of leadership and energy out there waiting to be directed, and that's what we want to do. There's a lot of hope for the Mosaic team. There's a lot of hope for new work that the church should do. People mentioned voting rights, technologies, lay ministry, environment, gay pride, racism, all things that are really dear to our hearts that some few people are doing, but that we need to do as a church. And that the leadership and the opportunity comes from the church and the effort comes from us. Specifics, we want more leadership of lay leaders, and I guess the big word is delegation, that people do the work. They don't leave it to the staff or the head of the committee to do everything. We also would like a running list of volunteers needs in the newspaper every week, so people who want to work will find a way of doing it. And I know we talked about that it's on the Standing on the Side of Love committee, but really specifically including lay needs so that people can help one another. I've got to move us along. Okay. They also asked for more flexibility in programming for youth, college students, and families because the schedules don't work out. Yeah.
Hi, Pam Stager for representing group number 9. Our importance thing is very similar to everybody else's groups. We just want to emphasize our applause and appreciation of all the effort and expense of the needed transitions, including technology and communications, including snail mail, little packages with tea bags and masks and seeds. We also want to say how much we appreciated that our social justice programs have continued. The community food share, mobile loaves and fishes. Our connection with Bethel AME is so important, and the Mosaic initiative. We'll get on to possibilities, because we had a lot. Emphasizing the arts going forward, visual art, poetry, music, etc., even more, and trying to find more and more creative ways to incorporate choral and hymnal singing into our services. Ideas were about a book exchange and distribution, especially for those of us who are wanting to divest ourselves of much of our stuff, which led to an idea about our community doing like a little Habitat for Humanity, building little libraries in other Providence communities where books might be more appreciated. And skill and relationship exchanges, like in-church foster grandparents or big brothers and big sisters for families that might need such a thing, or senior as an elder and teen tech help ideas and exchanges. There was a question about hearing issues and hoping that the church will keep working on making hearing everything that happens in church audible to all. A garden committee to help Nancy out in the garden, especially since our florist is gone. Partnerships with small churches. We had one person in our group who visited today, and his church only has 40 members and they had to let their minister go. Could they join our Zoom services and contribute in that way? That's about it. There was a question about a daycare center. I know it's been explored before. And finding ways to turn Liz's sabbatical into creative opportunities. Number 10.
Thank you. Do you want to give me your notes? Oh, yeah. I'll forward them on. Okay.
Thank you. Oh, right. I'm Karina Anderson. I'm brand new. I think I've been coming for about 4 weeks. And the good thing about being at the end of the list here is that really everything that we discussed has already been mentioned pretty much. So I don't have to go through everything, but I would just say that the takeaway was the importance of community, and there were actually 4 of us in my group who were pretty much new in coming to UU here, and we all basically said the same thing, that community is, the need for community and connection is why we're here. It's why I am here. The perspective, the values, the grounding of the community, and the shared caring element. Anyway, there were so many things that were already said, including how important the online services are, hopes for many more physical connections, gratitude for being here in person, and it goes on. But one thing that actually sort of came up was, wouldn't it be nice to have an outdoor wintertime Christmas carol sing service, for instance, in the parking lot or something, so to be able to have more connections and experiences and personal connections outside. And there's more, but most of it's been said. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Mary, are you next?
The things that the church is doing well were many. There are many compliments for Nancy Forstrom for keeping people connected, for keeping the office going. Many compliments for the bridging team. Many compliments for establishing Zoom for all the committees, and then offering services so people could get connected, offering laptops to members. The broadcast has gotten better. The music has gotten better as it comes across. The spirituality, as we're sitting here in the meeting house, I have to put this in, is for one person was lacking because of our musical limits. The things that we could be doing better in the future is when we're having a service to allow more movement. If we're not standing to do readings or we're not standing to sing, if you sit here for an hour, it's like a lecture, and your body becomes very stiff. In the future, we'd like to be able to continue to have meetings on Zoom, offering also that they would meet periodically in person. The deacons' calling, I've never heard this mentioned before, has been missed. And we feel that that might be another connection. Instead of the deacons calling once a year, maybe calling every 60 days to see how things are going. And the dedicated time for coffee hour, instead of saying that it's after the service. So that would be only for people who are on Zoom already, not for the people who are attending here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Do you want to give me your notes? Well, Tom's going to look at them this afternoon, so I think they're stuck with your handwriting. My handwriting is the worst of anybody. So who's next? Do we have group 12? Janet? Okay, but you need to say something so that everybody can hear what your group's thoughts were, because the idea is that it's not as helpful. The reason we wanted you to hear, the reason we've asked you to stay, is so that you can hear where each other's energies are at. It doesn't just go to Prucom and everybody's like, I wonder what came of that. This way you get to hear something of what came of it. Can you just remember even one or two things that were much of the same?
Appreciation for what we have while we have it. Importance to continue to support the church so it'll be here tomorrow. RE program has been fabulous for the kids, and their connections are important. But to do something else would be, we had a suggestion of a painting collaborative of the women in this church, to do portraits for the, to show the diversity of the congregation, especially with the women throughout history. More of the connections, in-person connections, they're looking forward to that, and that's what's been very important to them. And connections with the Bethel AME Church and other congregations, we could do projects together.
Super, thank you. In addition to asking you to make sure that you're doing stuff on your end always to receive communication from the church, I'll also say if there's anybody who is very attached or thrilled by any of the things that came up and you want to work on that and invest yourself in helping to make it happen, feel free to come talk to any member of the staff or the leadership to let them know, and we will gladly welcome that. A number of people mentioned Mosaic, and there's a couple of leaders of the Mosaic team here. Can I just ask you to stand briefly so that anybody who wants to get involved in Mosaic can come find one of the folks that's already standing, who's already involved in Mosaic, and get yourself on board. So we'll work on making it easy to do that. The Mosaic team, which is working on anti-racism within our own congregation and growing our stuff there. This is the time for our offering. I am going to encourage you in your giving to be all the more generous for every word I don't say now. I have 2 invitations, ways you can participate in the larger life and the living out of our faith here at First U. The first is Realm, our new online directory that we're launching, that we're working really hard on getting everybody involved in so that we can connect to each other. I mean, did every group talk about communication? Because that's what it sounds like to me. And the only way we will be able to communicate with you soon, or with each other, is with the new online directory that we've purchased and are implementing. If you're not signed into that, you will stop hearing from us because we're switching over to it. So it's not super spiritually exciting and inspiring. It is critical to the life and experience of community here at First U. So thank you to all of you who signed into Realm, our First U online community. If anyone is experiencing difficulty in creating a login, Ted Martin and Ann Boyd, please stand up. Ted Martin and Ann Boyd will be in the church office in the parish house after the service to offer help with doing that. You can go see them. You can also call the office anytime during the week. Not all functions are activated yet. Not all invitations to log on have been sent, but we are working hard to get members and friends simply to create the login. Again, the key, you need to make your own key to the house we all share. That's what this is. So please do be active on that. Please go and hang out in the office if you can today and just get it done. The second thing is just to let you know it is not too late. We had a bunch of sign-ups. It's almost full, but there's a few spaces left. It is not too late to sign up for the sessions being hosted by Peter Larman about racial capitalism. Issues of anti-racism also seem to come up in many groups, along with the wish for lay members to get involved in this and to connect with each other. So this is perfect. It's a great opportunity to hear about significant historical events and circumstances in Rhode Island. There are readings, discussions, and field trips. Outside, moving around, lay-led. The group meets Wednesday evenings at the church for the next 6 weeks. Wednesday evenings at the church, and there are 3 Thursday field trips to historical sites. If you would like to join, call or email Nancy, our office administrator, tomorrow, Monday. Oh, she's not there. Holiday. It should have said Tuesday. Call her Tuesday. The staff is on holiday tomorrow because it's Columbus Day / Indigenous Peoples Day. And you can get her to sign you up then, okay? That is it. We have our closing words, and then Jeff is playing his first Bach for us of the church year. If you have the chance to stay for it, I hope you can. Our closing words from the Reverend Robert T. Weston, Unitarian Universalist. There might have been other uses for this moment, for this morning. There might have been other pleasures. There might have been rest. But there is something beyond all this which we must seek, and except we give it time and attention, it may never come to flower. Peace in a world of conflict. And still something more. It is something only sensed in the shared reflections of others who seek it with me. Perhaps it is myself, now so buried under the demands and pressures of the world that it may only be found as I take time with others to listen for it and let it grow. Can we join in the words for our chalice extinguishing? We carry the flame of peace and love and hope until we meet again.